Hello everyone, welcome to day one of my Thankful Garden bundle class to go. This bundle is super fun. It's so gorgeous. I cannot wait to show you the 4 cards that I have for you this week. This bundle includes the stamp set, the dies, and also the masks that go with it. And we're going to use all 3 this week. And I'm going to show you some gorgeous, gorgeous cards. Now, if you want to earn the class kit for this class, if you want to get this class to go for free, all you need to do is place an order in my online store. A minimum order of $50 will earn you the class to go kit for free. If your order is over $100, you're going to earn the class kit, and I'm also going to throw in 5 cards from my card basket. Now, these cards may not coordinate with the Thankful Garden bundle. They are just cards that you can use as inspiration or that you can use in your everyday use. You can give them away or use them. They're just meant as a free gift and to inspire you. Option number 3 is you earn the class free with a $150 order. You're going to get the class kit for free. You're going to get the 5 bonus cards for free, and you're also going to get a full package of the embellishments that we're going to use. And those are going to be the neutral matte dots. These come with white, black, basic beige, and pecan pie dots, and they are so beautiful. You'll get you'll get the full package if your order is over $150, and you'll have plenty to use later. Okay, so we're going to get started. If you have questions on how to earn that class to go for free, there is more in the video description, or you can check my blog or go ahead and contact me. So we're going to get started on our card for today. This is card number 1. Isn't it stunning? I love this card. It's so beautiful. So to save a little bit of time in the videos, I have done some of the work ahead of time, and you'll see that as we go throughout each video. So today I've done most of the stamping. We'll stamp the greeting, but I have stamped this flower. I've stamped it 3 times, and I've already done the coloring for a couple of them, and we'll do the stencil coloring with some of the other ones. So now you don't need the full flower because we're not using the full flower. We're really just using the petals here. So you're going to need 2 of the flower. You're going to need that one, and then I've already stamped, and we'll do this one together. So that's this one, and then you're going to need to do it one more time because the dies will cut out this little die right here. When you stamp it, it will cut out this flower right here. So you'll need to stamp it 3 times. You'll need 2 of the double flowers and then 1 of the single flower. So stamp that 3 times, and then all the ink blending that I'm going to show you, you'll do the exact same way for all 3 of them. So I'm going to set those aside, and we're going to do the ink blending for our final one here. All right, other supplies you're going to get in your kit, you're going to get your Berry Burst card base, and you're going to get a piece of the DSP that's going to go on the top of your card base. We'll talk about that more in just a second, but let's get to our ink blending and our masks. So the masks, you get 5 of them. 3 of them are for the flowers, and 2 of them are for the leaves. I'm going to pull these out, and we're going to use all of them throughout the week, but today we're only going to be using the first 3. Now there's a couple different ways that you can use our masks. They have they are numbered. I don't know if you can see those little numbers. They are kind of etched in there. You can always take a permanent marker and write those numbers more pronounced so you can see them. I'm going to grab some Post-it tape. You can also use washi tape or just Post-it notes, but I'm going to grab some Post-it tape, and I'm actually going to tape my little paper down, and I'm going to do this on some scratch paper. Now, if you have our glass mat, you can blend directly onto our glass mat, and I do love doing that. But just because of the video, we'd have to clean it off and stuff. And for the video, I'm just going to use some scratch paper. Now I'm going to line up the mask here. Now this little tiny piece on the mask I have found to be a little bit fragile, so be careful with that. But that's going to go right between your flowers. So if you kind of line that up right between the flowers, then the rest of the mask kind of lines up perfectly with it. Okay, so once I get that nice and lined up, I'm going to use Post-it tape and just hold it down. Okay, so we'll just hold that down with Post-it tape. Now there are notches on the mask, and I'm going to turn this so you can see there's a little notch on the mask. Now if you wanted to mark that, you could, if you're doing it on your glass mat, you could do that with a dry erase marker. You could do that with a pen. And I'm just going to kind of go along and trace the mask on the grid paper that I have here. And that's going to help me line up the rest of my masks as we go. If you're doing it on your glass mat, you can use a dry erase marker. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with Fresh Freesia ink. Sorry, my clock's going to go off. I do apologize. But, I have a blending brush for every kind of color group. So this one is the one I use for all my purples. And I get asked sometimes, I'm just going to wipe it off, make sure that I don't have it like, you know, Blackberry Bliss on it before I put it in my, my Fresh Freesia. I don't wash these, you know, just kind of wipe it off and you can keep reusing it. And the more you build up the color on the brush, I can pull out some of my other ones that have some more color more predominantly built up down below the brush line here. But the more you build it up, the easier that it's going to blend with. Now you can use, you can wash your blending brushes. If you only have a couple of them, that's fine. But you do need to let them completely dry between each color. Before you move on to a different color, they need to be completely dry. So I have one for my pinks, my reds, my oranges, my greens. So I have about 12 of them total, and I just color group them like that. You don't need a blending brush for every single specific color. I certainly haven't found that that's necessary, but if you want one, you can, but you certainly don't need it. I use this for all my purples from Fresh Freesia to Blackberry Bliss. So you have a wide range there. All right, so I just inked it up a little bit and I'm going to tap it off on my scratch paper just so we don't get a harsh line. And I'm just going to very gently, we don't want this Fresh Freesia layer to be super dark. And I'm going to very gently just go over that stencil, that mask in a circular motion. And you know, if there's darker spots, that's fine. Lighter spots, that's fine. I'm not going to make it too dark and I'm not going to make it super consistent. So again, if there's darker areas, that's fine. That's just going to add to the more natural look to our flower. All right, so that's it with this mask. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. I'm going to make sure that I leave my paper exactly where it is. I'm going to move this mask out of the way and I will bring in my layer 2. And by lining it up with those lines there and the little notch here, it should line up pretty perfectly, and it did. Perfect. Now to clean the masks, I just run them under some water in my sink and the ink just washes right off. Now you don't want to let the ink sit for, you know, a couple of days, but I just let it run off. You can also use baby wipes. That's fine too. All right, we're switching to Berry Burst. Because we're going from a lighter color to a darker color, I'm not going to worry about wiping off my blending brush. We're switching to Berry Burst for our second layer. This one is going to fill in a little bit more, but it's still going to leave some of those Fresh Freesia layers. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can kind of see more of this flower. Okay, so again, I'm going to ink it off just a little bit so we don't get those harsh lines. And I'm going to go over it lightly. You don't want to go super hard because it's easier to add color. You can't take it away once you add it. So you can always kind of lift up your mask and see what it's looking like if you feel like you want to add more color or not. And we're going to add just a little bit more. And I'm going to just make sure that there's some darker areas and some lighter areas with this Berry Burst. So when I go in with that second layer of ink, I'm making sure to not go over those same places over and over again. Okay, we're going to use that same ink. I didn't mean to pick that one up. All right, so that was mask number 2. We're going to bring in mask number 3. Let me pull up my Post-it note here. And we're going to line those up. Find that little notch down there. Perfect. That lined up really well. Now, if you didn't mark it or you're having trouble finding those little notches or those lines, there are little clues on where to put these masks. I found like on this one, let me grab something to poke with. The little lines here, these little lines, all the little lines will line up with the final stencil that we're going to do for this. So if you moved your paper or your mask, it just isn't lining up, just look for all those little outlines. Those little lines will tell you where to go. Okay, we're going to use Berry Burst ink again. I'm going to ink this up. And this one I am going to go a little bit heavier handed than I did with the last one because we're going the same ink over the other one. And so we want to make sure that we're getting that nice and saturated. Okay, I think that looks good. I can't wait to lift up this stencil. So I'm going to move that ink out of the way before I dip my hand in it. We'll pick up the stencil and gorgeous, right? So beautiful. All right, move these Post-it notes out of the way. We'll peel this off. I'm going to move that scratch paper out of the way, and we're going to die cut this. So let me grab my dies, and we'll grab our flower. Now, if you had the leaves for this one, if we were going to do the leaves, you would also ink blend those, and we'll do leaves on another card later this week. So I'm just going to line up this die just with the flowers. Since we're only concerned about the flowers, I'm going to use some washi tape just to hold it down. Hopefully there's enough stick left in this washi tape. All right, I'm going to grab my little mini cut and emboss machine. Oh, let me zoom back out. Hello. Sorry, guys. You're like, whoa. All right, let me grab my plates for my mini cut and emboss machine, and we will get this die cut. Okay, make sure nothing moves there. And we'll get this run right out. Now you would do this again 3 times for your card. You're going to need 3 of these groups of flowers. All right, so let's put this aside, put this away. All right, and we'll get our flowers out. Perfect. All right, so we have all 3 of them. Now this one I've already stamped the center of, but we're going to go in and stamp the center with some Memento ink. Grab some StazOn, but I want Memento. I'm going to grab some Memento ink. There is a larger and a smaller of the little fill-ins. So for the larger one, I'm going to do that on the bigger flower. And then for the smaller one, we'll do that on the smaller flower. Now, I'm not being super exact with this. I mean, you can absolutely take a little bit more time and line that up precisely, but I think it just adds a fun little detail, and so you don't need to be super exact with it. All right, for our DSP piece here, I think this is from the Lovely Garden. I think that's what it's called. I'm going to pull out my scrap paper again, and I'm going to use a Lemon Lime Twist Stampin' Blend, a dark one. You can also just use your Lemon Lime Twist Stampin' Right marker, but I'm just going to flick some color on here, just some little ink spots. Love that. That's just going to add some texture to our DSP. And I have to unbury my sample card so we know what it looks like. All right, we're going to stick this onto our card base. Let me give this a good burnish here. And then we're going to stick this on. I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal for this. And we'll have this ready to go. There we go. Right onto our card base. This DSP is 5 1/4 by 4, so it's just a 1/4 inch smaller than our card base here. All right, we have one more thing that we need to stamp, and that is our greeting. So another piece you're going to get in your kit is this lemon lime strip piece, and then a white piece. We're going to stamp our greeting on the white piece, and then you'll have a piece to die cut your leaves sealed of lemon lime twist. So you'll need to do the die cutting from the dies with your cardstock in your kit. All right, Berry Burst ink. And our greeting. This one says, "Thankful for you, friend." I'm not going to go all the way to the right. I'm going to do it maybe like 3/4 of an inch from the right, because we're going to end up trimming off part of this this edge here. Okay. And that's it with our inking. So we are ready to just really assemble now. So let's get this going here. I'm going to start with my greeting piece onto my my lemon lime twist piece. These should be the same length, so you should be able just to put them all the way across, and we are going to trim off any excess. It just occurred to me that I trimmed it off at the against the DSP, but for this card we're going to trim it off with the entire card base, and that'll be just fine. But if you want it to be a little bit shorter on your card, stick it to your DSP before you stick it onto your card base. Okay, a couple dimensionals on the back, and I'm keeping them right in the middle because we're going to be tucking our flowers behind. And I'm just going to angle this just like that. And then I'm going to take my little trimmer here, and we'll just cut off the ends here. Just like that. And this one, I'm going to be real careful not to nick that fold. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna nestle in some of the flowers. Now I'm going to just take my my scissors and just kind of cut around this one just a little bit. I'm not going to do that to the big one because that one's going to be tucked in, but I am going to kind of cut off this leaf over here. Just kind of partly fussy cut. We're not doing a full fussy cut. We do want to go around the little flowers a little bit, the little one on here, so that we can kind of tuck those up and over on the greetings. But this bigger one, I'm not going to worry about taking the time to go around that one. Okay, so there we go. Excuse me. All right, we're going to stick all these flowers on with dimensionals. So I'm going to stick dimensionals behind each of these little double flowers here. Pull off those backings. And you don't want to go too heavy-handed with the dimensionals here because, again, we're going to be tucking in leaves and everything, and you want to make sure that there's room to tuck all those. All right, now the smaller flower, I'm going to make sure that it's over the greeting, and then the bigger flower will be under the greeting, and I'm just going to lightly press it down. I'm not going to burnish it down all the way yet because we're going to come in with those leaves, and if I need to lift it up, I want to be able to do that. All right, we're going to stick this one down here like this. And then we'll stick this one right over here. And so I'm just going to stick a dimensional right on the card base here, just kind of right on the edge here, and we will stick that flower right there. All right, now we're going to go in with our leaves, and I'm just going to take some liquid glue for these, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my the stems, and we're just going to do a little bit of tucking here. And just kind of nestle these in. Just make sure that they're not going past the edge of the card so they still fit in your envelope. If they go past the edge of the card, they won't fit in the envelope. And another one here. I need to get another glue bottle. This one's nearly empty. And we're just going to kind of stick that one, just really kind of nestle that up into up there. Perfect. And you can use little glue dots or your liquid glue just to kind of maneuver where the leaves need to be if you need to further glue them down. And one more, we're going to slide in. If you want to put the leaves down before you start gluing all the flowers down so you don't have to worry about going around the dimensionals, you can absolutely do that. I don't mind going around all the dimensionals. I think, and it gives me a place to really make sure that it lands exactly where I want those leaves to go. Perfect. I love it. All right, we're going to finish this off with our dots here, and I'm going to just add a few of the black ones on this card. So we're going to add one here, and then I'll add a couple smaller ones. I'll add one here and one up here. All right, and that finishes off this card. Remember, if your order is over $150 to get the class kit for free, you're going to get those full package of those matte dots. All right, guys, that is card number 1 for this week of the Thankful Garden class to go. I hope you love this one. I have many more beautiful ones coming this week, so make sure to check back tomorrow for day number 2. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.